Today, I'm going to be ranking AI companies by their LLMs or large language models. We've got a whole tier system here with a bunch of different AI models and their companies down below, along with a list of criteria that I'm going to use to rank all of these LLMs and put them on this list. The ranking criteria, we're going to be going over cost, ease of use, which is going to be extremely important, live data access, accuracy of responses. Oftentimes this gets called hallucinations. Control and customization. This is a pretty important one because we talk about the differences between open source and closed source and how some companies might be one or the other or both. And then of course, advanced functionality like creation of images, voice, data functionality, like code interpreter, things like that. I'm going to be using the main models for each of these companies, or their flagship model, basically. So even though there might be some other ones down here below, like Claude 3.5 Opus or GPT-4o Mini, for now I'm going to leave these down here as kind of like honorable mentions so we can just focus in on the flagship models themselves. First, I'm going to talk about Mistral. Mistral might be one of those companies that you're not too familiar with. And that's because they don't have, the tens of billions of dollars of investment that some of these other companies have. But their model is quite interesting because it is one of the most consistently popular on the LLMs chatbot arena. And just real quick, the LLMs chatbot arena is essentially a place where all of these AI models get ranked against each other for a different set of criteria or actions or prompts. And so if we go to the current leaderboard, we can see that every single AI model that has pretty much any sort of popularity is going to be ranked on this list. And while a lot of these other models that have been forked from other bigger models are now at the top of this list, Mistral was one of the ones that used to be dominating this list. So it's one of those ones that I definitely wanted to mention. Because it's a little behind right now, I'm going to put it a little bit lower in the C category. It is free to use, which is great. The sign up process was super easy. You can just connect your Google account and then you have free access to their pro model, which does have relatively accurate information and the ability to generate code. One of my favorite things that I always like to ask is, can it generate an interactive HTML profit calculator, which is a seemingly super simple task to do. But what I always like to do is go over to W3 Schools and test it out myself, just to see kind of what it looks like. And this does look pretty good. You'd be surprised at some of the code that is generated from some of these AI models for these HTML calculators and how bad some of them can look, but that doesn't look too half bad. So far with Mistral, it doesn't look like they have any sort of voice functionality or the ability to upload documents for advanced functionality like code interpreter or being able to do any sort of analysis on data. Things we'll test with Mistral is going to be the live data test. So we're going to ask it, who won the first gold medal at the Paris Olympics? And that's not at all what we were looking for. And let's try again, just give it the benefit of the doubt. 2024 Paris Olympics, and it has a cutoff date. So unfortunately, not going to be too good just because it's not really able to have any up-to-date information. So Mistral is going to stay in this C to D tier just because they need to get a couple more of the ancillary functionalities that help users actually use the functionality of the core model themselves. Next up, we're going to be talking about Grok on x.ai, which has a really cool landing page now that I'm seeing it. Grok, built by x.ai, owned by x.com, which is formerly Twitter, owned by Elon, which reportedly now has the largest supercluster, I think. That was some news that came out last week, and I'll put that right here if it's true. Grok regular mode, the cost of it is the cost of a Twitter premium account, which I believe is like 15 bucks a month or something. So there is a cost associated with getting Grok. Signing up and getting access to Grok was relatively easy because once you have the Twitter account, it's just right there in Twitter, and then you can use that Twitter account login or that authorization to then sign into x.ai, but they're essentially the same thing. Like the portal on Twitter is essentially the same thing as x.ai. Then we're going to test the live data at Grok and x.ai. We're going to ask it who won the first gold medal at the Paris Olympics, just like we did with Mistral. And we can already see that it's searching, and it says first gold medal at the 4 Paris Olympics was won by China in the mixed team 10-meter air rifle shooting event, which is correct. I watched that highlight earlier this morning. But what's interesting is it gives it wrong information as the sources. So that's quite interesting. So live answers and being able to show where it got that data is quite nice. Now let's see if we can create an HTML calculator. This will be interesting to see the differences in the two calculators that were created by Mistral and Grok and see if there's any similarities or differences. All right, so let's take this, let's copy this code. Let's actually make a new one here. And then we can look at them side by side. See, look how this one's different. This proves my point exactly. So Grok makes a profit calculator and the formatting is all off. Let's see if it even gets it right. 10, 100, and this is the same prompt. And the profit margin is different also. All right, so now we have the Grok profit calculator. So didn't really make it that good. So I'm gonna leave it in the B tier. It also doesn't look like they have voice. So that's going to move it down just slightly, probably into the B, C tier here. All right, so we've got Mistral in the C to D tier, and we've got Grok or x.ai in the B to C tier. Next up is Anthropic Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Probably one of the most impressive models, and it's the one that I keep coming back to most frequently other than ChatGPT, because not only does it have an incredibly solid model itself, but the extra features like its ability to run code within the platform, and I'll show you that in a second, is the best on the market. The live data test, see if it knows who won gold, and it says it does not know because it has a data cutoff of April 2024. So that's definitely going to move it down quite a bit. Next test, where I'm going to ask it to create a calculator. Let's just get that prompt. We're just going to use the same prompt from Mistral and the same one that I used in Grok AI, and we're going to let it run. The cool thing about this is Claude has this thing called artifacts, which allows it to create the code over here and then run the code directly in the browser itself. This is super useful because I don't have to bring this code into a W3 School editor just to run the HTML to see what it looks like. I can see what it looks like right here in this browser. That being said, when we type in the information and just looking at it visually, it's definitely not as good as we'd like, and cost and revenue are inverted, so that's also different. And so this is quite interesting to see how the same prompt can be run and different results can be received from each different AI LLM model. And this is why we can actually rank them against each other, because they actually do provide different results. Now, this HTML calculator is pretty simple, so I want you to keep that in mind. But the cool thing is with Anthropic and Claude, you can do some pretty wild stuff. And so for me, that definitely moves it up into the A tier, almost close to the S tier, I would say, just because it's one of the ones that I actually use on a daily basis and I pay for it. One of the things that Anthropic 3.5 doesn't have is the voice model. So that will definitely keep them below the S tier, just because we know some of the other competitors have that stuff already. The platform just definitely excels with these artifacts and the ability to run code within the platform. Next up, we have Google Gemini 1.5 Ultra. Don't even know where to start with this one. So you can access Google Gemini in two different ways. You can go to gemini.google.com. Or if you have the Chrome browser, you can open up a new tab and type in @Gemini and then ask it a question, and it will show you, hey, chat with Gemini, and then it will actually return the response directly in the Gemini window, just like so. One of the nice things about Google Gemini is that, of course, it's based off of Google search. So it does have quite accurate data, and it has the benefit of having voice enabled, which is always a nice feature to have. Google Gemini is also free, and it's easy to sign up because it's all connected to your Google account. We can ask Google Gemini to create the interactive HTML calculator, and it does so. Let's open another W3 Schools tab, and let's look at what this looks like. And this one looks very familiar to Claude, except this one is flipped cost and revenue. So from a code generation point of view, it definitely is a little rough. It's not as clean as Grok or Mistral at this point. Mistral still is the winner by far. Looks great. So I'm going to put Google Gemini about equal with Grok for right now. I still have to give the other version of Google Gemini a shot where it has integrations with Gmail and all the other things, because that will definitely increase the ability for me to actually use this within my stuff on a day-to-day basis, which will be key, because all those docs and all that information is already on Google. So Google already knows that information, whereas I'd be less likely to give that information to another AI company, like uploading my documents or giving them access to my Google account. So for now, we'll put them at between the B and C just to see where they go from here. All right, next up, we've got Perplexity. Perplexity is also one of the ones that I use quite often because of their search features, which immediately is going to put them quite high in the list. And I honestly put it above Google for the very reason that it will consolidate and take multiple different sources to be able to provide as a unbiased view as possible about any subject. So for example, if I ask it the current question, who got the first gold medal, it's going to be able to give me the answer and be able to give me multiple different sources that I can click on and view to get access to more information about this specific topic. Cool thing is when you're on the free plan, you get 5 of these pro searches per day, which is plenty for what I want to do when I just need to do one of those quick searches. Of course, they have their upgraded plan, which I believe is $20 a month. Yep. But this is one of the ones that I use and don't pay for, actually, at least not yet. Perplexity also has a really good iOS app that I really like, which makes it super easy to use because then you can use some of the voice features on your phone. So I actually just realized that I wasn't even doing a pro search. I didn't even have that toggle on. 5 searches left today, reloads every 4 hours. So let me go back. Let me actually do that one again. Who won the first? But let's do a pro search. Interesting. So it basically does more sources. So it does a deeper search or more in-depth search, but because it went that deep, it actually gave the wrong answer. That's quite interesting. Interesting. So that's definitely going to keep it that's going to mark it down just a bit, I bet, because you'd expect the pro tier to actually give better answers, not worse answers. For creating the HTML calculator, I'm going to turn Pro on and see what happens. So it took a bit of time there actually, but it looks like it generated the code. Let's copy and paste and see how this one does. Ah, very nice. That's very nicely formatted. Comparatively, it's even got a green button. So this currently, I would say this takes the cake right now in terms of making one that actually looks good. Yeah, so Perplexity definitely making a nice looking calculator there. I'll put that up with Anthropic for right now. And this is one of the things that I'm starting to realize, especially as I move Perplexity up next to Claude 3.5, and I'm sure other people are feeling similar, or I would expect, you're starting to go to certain AI LLMs for specific use cases. So for example, with Anthropic, I always go to Anthropic or Claude 3.5 to have it generate me code. I always go to Perplexity to ask it about current events. These are trends that I'm seeing in my own workflows, but I'm curious to see if you guys have something similar. Let me know in the comments below. Next up, we've got Meta AI, and this is one of the ones that has hit the news incredibly a lot recently, especially with Zuck and his gold chain. Shout out to that. But the big thing here that Meta has kind of over everybody else is that it's fully open source and completely free to use and download. The catch-22 here is you have to have the hardware to be able to actually run this model itself. So while we'll be using meta.ai to be able to work with it today, there's also a version that is available for open source that you can use on your machine locally. Make sure you subscribe because I'm going to be doing a tutorial and showing you how you can get that actually installed on your machine locally and be able to interact with your documents on your machine locally without having to connect to the internet or send any of your data to any one of these companies. Meta AI is also very focused on the creative side of things, as you can see with the generation of images right in that same window. And this is quite nice. It gives us the correct answer. It also gives us the sources to view, which there is only one from NBC. So there's no voice in this view, but they do have different voice characters and other things that you can do within their Instagram app and WhatsApp, I believe. So I won't take them down too far, but that's definitely something to consider. Now let's see how it does on the interactive calculator. The font is definitely quite large here, and we're gonna open up a new E3 just like always. Copy this code and let's see what it made. It's not too bad. It's still got some margin padding issues here. That's definitely not ideal. Interesting. Well, that's an error. So that's definitely going to be, that's going to move it down. That's weird. Try that again. Oh, wow. Interesting. It must be trying to show an image here somewhere. Let me see. Interesting. Wow. So that's definitely going to be a knock against that because a lot of these other models allow you to just copy and paste and everything's good, especially in this new world of no-code developers and AI developers, in the sense that people who use AI to help them develop, this is going to be a no-go. So Meta, even though you've got one of the biggest models in the block, can't make a simple HTML calculator. That's going to keep you on the B tier, my friend. And finally, we've got OpenAI's ChatGPT 4o, their latest flagship model. There's also GPT 4o Mini, which is one of the honorable mentions down below, which is like a lot cheaper. But 4o is one of the best models that is out there right now and is essentially used as the benchmark against all of these other models because it has pretty much all of the functionality that everyone else is trying to create or catch up to. So if we ask it who won the first gold medal, it's going to be able to search the internet through and that's interesting. It's a different answer. So Kazakhstan, well, it gave us a different answer. That's interesting. I thought China won. Interesting. So it got it wrong. Now, it's not often that you'd see that, but I actually caught that on this tutorial. That's quite interesting. I was fully expecting to put OpenAI chat like just right up to S tier, but honestly, it gave me the wrong answer. I can't do that. Let's try the HTML calculator and see if that does any better. Of course, the free version of ChatGPT uses 4.0 now, which is really nice. The paid version of ChatGPT is still $20 a month, which has access to all of the other features, which includes voice. That's always nice. And let's take this code and let's see what it looks like. And this looks great. I do have to say, I like the one with the green button the best. And I think, what was that? That was Perplexity. So I think Perplexity wins in terms of creating the nicest HTML calculator, but they don't have some of those other features. So I got to keep them here. OpenAI and ChatGPT, they made a great, very similar looking one, but they got an answer wrong. So I can't put them up there. I got to keep them right here. Benefit of OpenAI and ChatGPT is they also have the desktop app on Mac already, which is great. So that's something to use and check out, and I actually use that quite often. But yeah, giving us that wrong answer, that's quite interesting. I'm curious to see why that was. But anyway, this was the first attempt at ranking all of the AI LLMs by their cost, ease of use, data access, accuracy of responses, control and customization, and advanced functionality. If you have other ones that you think I should rank, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.